All right. So to start the listening supportive factor session, can I kindly request everyone to say sadhu?
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Katang bhavitani cha kundaliya tini sucharitani katang bahuli katani chattaro satipattana paripuryanti. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So for this group, we have been discussing now for some time a discourse called Kundaliya. So that just to give you a brief summary of what we have been discussing, this particular discourse is coming in connected discourses under mountain section, and the name of the discourse is Kundaliya, whose name is taken for the sutta. There is a person, a wanderer, who is having a discussion with the Blessed One. His name is Kundaliya, and the sutta has been named after him. It's a very deep discussion. This happened when the Blessed One is dwelling in Saketa, in the deer park at the Anjana Grove. And this particular wanderer comes to the Blessed One and asks, after exchange greeting, why are you living this holy life? I have been listening to many teachers like you, and some of them say, engage in the discussions and winning an argument, winning a debate is their purpose. And the others, they don't want anything as such. They condemn such behavior. So these are the two types of people I have met. And what is your purpose of living this life? Then the Blessed One says, to reap the benefit and fruit of knowledge and deliberation. So this was something Kundaliya never expected, to reap the benefit and fruit of liberation and knowledge. And then he immediately asks, what you have got to do to get there? And then the Blessed One says, you must have 7 factors of enlightenment. And then Kundaliya gets worked up again, and he's asking, what have I got to do to get there? Then he says, develop and cultivate the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And then he asking again, what have I got to do there to get that? Then he says 3 kinds of good conduct. Then he's asking, how can I do that? Then he says, restrain sense faculties. So after this discussion, the Blessed One stops him and tells him in the ascending order how it happens. Because the Buddha came from liberation in the descending order. Now, the Blessed One is explaining him from the restraint of the sense faculties and how to get to the 4 foundations of mindfulness. 7 factors of enlightenment, and then the liberation and the knowledge. So we are discussing that. And if I just refresh your memory on the restrainment of sense faculties, the Blessed One says, when you see something, when you hear something, in other words, when your internal sense faculties get in contact with the external sense faculties, they will have either liking or a disliking. So if you have a liking, if you don't long for it, if you become excited by it, if you don't generate lust for it, then you have a restrained sense faculties. Not that you completely go away, but you have a control. You know that it is an agreeable thing, but still you keep a distance. And similarly, when it is disagreeable, um, you don't get dismayed by it, not daunted by it, not dejected by it. You will not get ill will, and if you even if you get, it won't be long lasting. So in this manner, if the sense faculties are restrained to some extent, then you are gradually developing the three kinds of good conduct. You are gradually developing the three kinds of good conduct, and then uh, just give me.
We can't hear you, Bante.
Sorry, no, I was not talking that time. I was talking to somebody else. Anyway, apologies for the disruption. And then when the restraint of the sense faculties are cultivated and developed, you will naturally develop the three kinds of good conduct. Three kinds of good conduct means when you restrain your sense faculties, you don't restrain your sense faculties because you are afraid of God, or because you are afraid of the teacher, because you are afraid of going to hell. You do it simply because you are in contact with your own mind. You know it is agreeable. When it is agreeable, if you get really absorbed by it, you will be sucked by that sense desire, and you will have a lot of frictions after that. And similarly, when you have a disagreeable thing, if you get overwhelmed by it, then there will be a lot of consequences from it. And that is why you guys are in this path. So therefore, it is urge from the mind to have a restraint. So therefore, it's not because of someone else's influence. It is your own intelligence is at work. So when the intelligence is at work for the restraint of sense faculties, what it will do is it will mainly restrain your physical and verbal conduct, and at the same time the mind also will be improving. When you practice, how you will see that is, you will have a lot of lustful thoughts coming, lot of hatred thoughts coming, and lot of suspicious or doubts will come about the practice, and you will be very agitated and you will be very worrying. So when these things are happening, it's an indication that your mind is active, and physical and verbal activities are controlled. So that is a confirmation that your sense faculties are restrained. So the confirmation of the restrained sense faculties is coming as an agitation of the mind. So, but when we have an agitation of the mind, we think our what you call meditation or the practice is going backward. That is how the forward is being presented. That is how the forward is being exhibited. You are now physically and verbally okay, but mentally you see what is going within the mentality. So it provides you an opportunity to correct that. So therefore, you correct that as well. The blessed one says, how you correct that is, you gradually come out of the bodily misconduct and you get involved in bodily good conduct. And you come out of the verbal misconduct and you develop good verbal conduct. And you come out of mental misconduct and you get into mental good conduct. When I say mental misconduct and when I say mental misconduct, what I mean is that you knowing that your mind is agitated is a mental good conduct. I'm repeating the word knowing. Being aware that your mind agitated is a mental good conduct. But being reactive to that agitation is a mental misconduct. So therefore, when you practice mindfulness, we simply become aware. We don't go to the level of reaction. So coming out of the reaction and art of not doing anything is the way forward for the development of mental good conduct. So that way you abandon the mental misconduct and gradually cultivate and develop the mental good conduct. So when you keep on doing that, your mind will be very alert. And so when your mind becomes alert, and when you keep the mindfulness to the fore, when your attention is in the body, you will become aware that your attention is in the body. And when it is in feelings, you will be aware that it is in the feelings. And when it is in mental processes, then you will be aware that is in the mental processes. And when you know things are happening out of your control, and then you know that it is happening in that manner. So in this way, when your alertness improves, when the improved alertness is continuing, and when you know alertness improved and continuation is happening, so it becomes continuing vehicle. So that continuing vehicle will either go to the body or to the feelings or to the mind or to the phenomena. So therefore, when you master, when you develop the three good conducts, you will naturally develop the four foundations of mindfulness. So in the four foundations of mindfulness, we have discussed that there are four, as the word suggests, foundations, which is body, feelings, mind, and the phenomena. And we have discussed there are 14 ways how you can be mindful of the body, and 3 ways how you will be mindful of the feelings. And now we are discussing the feelings part. And even in the feelings part, these 3 ways that we have are divided into 2 categories. The 2 categories of the feelings are feelings in the normal life and the feelings in the spiritual life. So feelings in the irrespective of whether the feeling is a normal life feeling or mundane life feeling or a spiritual life feeling, Buddha simply says, simply observe. He says, monk, when experiencing a pleasant feeling, just be aware of it. I'm experiencing a pleasant feeling. When you're experiencing a painful feeling, just be aware that I'm experiencing a painful feeling. When you are experiencing neither pleasant nor painful feeling, you just be aware that you are experiencing neither pleasant nor painful feeling. So this is his advice for spiritual path as well as the mundane path. So when experiencing this, we have discussed how it is happening in the mundane world. Now we have been talking about in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, we know there are jhanas, there are absorptions. So we are discussing these four, especially the main 4 absorptions that come in the spiritual world. They are pleasant feelings in the spiritual world. So these pleasant feelings, the first one that we discussed was when a mendicant, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unskillful qualities, enters and remains in the first absorption, which has rapture and bliss born of seclusion. So this we have discussed in detail. You come out of your sensual world, you come out of your unskillful qualities by applying and sustaining the thought. In other words, labeling what you are doing and gathering informations of what you are doing. That is what we call vitakka, vichara. You label what's happening, and therefore your attention is with the body. And then when it is with the body, you see what sort of information, yeah, you can gather. You don't just bring your attention to the body and sleep. And that happened before Buddha. But when you are mindful, the mindfulness means being aware of now, being aware of here, being aware of yourself. So when you try to bring your attention to now, it has to happen every fraction of a second, because the now is something which keeps changing faster. So in order to say that you have been in the moment of yourself, in the place that you are, you have got to gather information. So it is therefore the Blessed One has introduced that vipassana quality, that insight quality, in the first absorption itself. So that is the first absorption which we have discussed in detail in the past. Now, the second absorption says, as the placing of the mind and keeping it connected are still, they enter and remain in the second absorption, which has the rapture and bliss born of immersion with internal clarity and mind at one, without placing the mind and keeping it connected. So there what happens is you become more and more absorbed into the body, and remain in the second absorption. And then you have only the rapture and the bliss only. But to have rapture and bliss, you disconnect yourself with labeling and gathering information. You disconnect yourself from the applied and sustained thought. You disconnect yourself from vitakka and vichara. So when you disconnect from that, your entire energy gets invested in the rapture and bliss. And then you get immersed into it, and then you will have a lot of internal clarity, and mind and body will be more or less the same. Observer and the observed may become one. So we discussed that once again in detail. And then the last one we discussed, I think a couple of weeks ago, or if not more, was the fading away of the rapture. They enter and remain in the third absorption, where they dwell in equanimity, mindful and clearly aware, experiencing the bliss of which the noble ones declare, equanimous and mindful, one meditates in bliss. So there what happens is fading away of rapture. So in the second absorption, you had the rapture and the bliss. And of these two, when it comes to the third absorption, rapture goes out the window, because the mind is now immersed in the body. When it is immersed in the body, mind wishes to be as less frictions as possible. So relatively, rapture is more frictional compared to the bliss. So therefore, mind prefers being without the rapture. So therefore, in the third absorption, it says fading away of rapture. So you allow the rapture to fade away. And whether you allow it or not, it is a nature, it's a phenomena in the universe. Whatever that you have will gradually fade away. So you allow that to happen. And the important thing is, this is something that you have gained from sacrificing so many and so much of things. You gain it from the practice. Now the beauty is, even though you gain it from the practice, now your mind is ready for that to go away, for let it go away. And then when it goes away, the mind is learning a new equilibrium. And that equilibrium is known as equanimity. Not only just equanimous, you are aware that the rapture is fading away, but I don't give a damn, I don't cry about it. And you have that both the awareness, the fact that it is faded away, and as well as that you are not bothered by it. So that is not only just mindfulness, that is mindfulness coupled with the continuing mindfulness. Your mindfulness is sharper. You have the full awareness, clarity of awareness. So then your energy, which was earlier invested in the rapture, now gradually gets transferred to experience the bliss. So you will be experiencing the bliss, and the beauty is you don't enjoy that as well too much, because now the mind is equipped with another quality which is called equanimity, which the mind gained from the loss of rapture. So with that equanimity and mindfulness, the third absorption continues. So when it continues, then we come to the fourth absorption. In the fourth absorption, it is going even bit more further. It says giving up pleasure and ending former happiness and sadness, they enter and remain in the fourth absorption without pleasure or pain, with pure equanimity and mindfulness. And how it says is Sukassacha pahana, dukkassacha pahana, hubbeva somanassa domanassanam attagama. So the full thing about it is the blessed one is saying, if I may take the Pali verse, don't have it straight away, just give me a second. I will take the full Pali term of it, which will be very ilastagama. Sukassacha pahana, dukkassacha pahana, kubbeva somanassa domanassanam attagama. Adukkama sukang, upekka sati parisuddhim, chatuttajjanam upasampajja viharati. And this is the explanation of the Blessed One about the fourth absorption. So we will have to now take one by one and peel it out and try to understand this fourth absorption. So in the third absorption, you have gotten rid of the rapture. When it comes to the fourth absorption, the only thing you have is the bliss on one hand, and on the other hand, the newly developed quality of mindfulness, newly developed quality of the mind, which is the equanimity. So when you compare the equanimity and the bliss in the body, bliss is more frictional. So therefore, the mind prefers to be more and more unwavering, more and more non-reactional. So therefore, the mind allows the bliss to fade away. So that allowance of the bliss to fade away is called sukassacha pahana. Whether you like it or not, when you keep on observing your body, what happens is you will go to a very blissful state, and you will be feeling that your mind is very light. Your mind is very calm, very comfortable, very soothing. You will have sort of a very cooling effect in the mind, in the body. So when you keep on observing that, gradually it will fade away. There are two reasons for it. One reason is you get used to it. So therefore, mentally, you will not enjoy it too much. It is like, when you get married, during the honeymoon period, it is so nice. It's so attractive. Everything is so novel. But after having two, three babies, it becomes, just another routine thing. So, like that, it's a similar thing. Even when we have the bliss in the body, during the honeymoon period, you will be enjoying it very much and you will be talking about it and you will be practicing all the time. But when you get used to it, it becomes a normal thing. Therefore, you feel that the bliss is gradually depreciating. That's one way. And the other thing is that also naturally, everything in the universe is having this impermanent nature. So, because of that impermanent nature, nothing lasts forever. Therefore, even the bliss takes another form, not that it goes away. The bliss changes into another form. That is how the world is moving. Everything is getting changed into something else. So therefore, when the bliss fades away, you should have unhappiness, because you have had bliss and it was so cool, but it fades away. So it's rational thinking person will think you should have suffering, you should have unhappiness. But what happens is this new equanimous quality will come into effect, will come into play, and that loss of the bliss will be accepted without a rejection, without a reaction. So therefore, although you should have suffering, because of the equanimity, because of the awareness that the bliss is also fading away, you will not give any opportunity to the mind to interpret that as a suffering, because your attention is so sharp now, your mindfulness is continuing so well, because in the third absorption it very clearly says this happens with mindfulness and the continuing mindfulness. In other words, in Pali, because of sati and sampajanya. So this sati and sampajanya is at full work. It's now in its peak. So therefore, although the bliss fades away, the suffering, as soon as it arises, you simply become aware of it. So when you become aware of it, the suffering does not have an opportunity to multiply exponentially. So even if it multiply exponentially, that person will immediately see the friction and start becoming observant of it, start becoming aware of it, start knowing it. So with that, what happens is you abandon your bliss, and at the same time you abandon your suffering as well, or the uh, painful spiritual feeling as well. So for this to happen, it says, Pubbeva somanassa domanassanang attagama. Pubbeva somanassa domanassanang attagama means, it says, for this to happen, your mind must have been ready. You must have given up your mental processes to some extent. You must have disconnected yourself with the mental process. Somanassa means happiness in the mind. Domanassa means unhappiness in the mind. So these things, attagama means you don't identify that with yourself. You don't. Atta means you consider it as me, myself, and mine. And when you don't do that, when you go beyond that, you must have gone beyond that for you to accept the abundance of the bliss, abundance of the what you call suffering as well, unhappiness as well. So if you see how this happened in advance is at the third absorption level. In the third absorption level, the rapture fades away. Rapture is a mental quality. Rapture is not something that you really experience in the body, but mind is projecting that your body is having crawling insects. Mind is projecting that a lot of worms are walking on your body. Mind is projecting that that you are floating. Mind is projecting that you are in a cool bath. So those type of experiences you may have felt in the practice. You feel it in the body, but in reality, it is not so. It is a projection of the mind, and that is how the mind tries to enjoy or identify the rapture. So the mind cannot, mind cannot enjoy anything without the help of the body. So therefore, whenever you are happy, you start clapping, or you start laughing, or you start having a party, because for you to enjoy that happiness. It's the same thing when you have the rapture. The rapture is in the mind, but the mind uses the body to enjoy it, to work it out. So that when the rapture fades away in the third absorption, you get used to the fact that there will have the depreciation of the mental happiness. But since it has faded away and you have been equanimous about it, you don't feel mentally unhappy. That is domanassa. So when you are not weeping about it, when you are not worrying about it, then you have generated already the necessary conditions to face when you lose or when you abandon the bliss, when you abandon the suffering. So that is what it says, Pubbeva somanasa domanassanang attagama. Because your mind has been already prepared to face the situation in the physical scenario. So that is because the mind is the forerunner of everything. So therefore, mano pubbangama dhamma, mano setta manomaya. Mind is the greatest. Mind is the forerunner of everything. So mind is the master. So therefore, before we really face the tune of the body, music of the body, we will have to prepare our mind. So that is why at the very beginning, we bring the attention to the body. Bringing attention means you bring your mind to the body. So therefore, without the help of the mind, we can't do anything. So it's a very shrewd and cunning or tactful way the blessed one is handling the mind. It doesn't touch the mind, but just divert the mind from its direction to another direction. Usually our direction of the mind is outward. He simply uses the technique and brings it inward and gives the mind what the mind is looking for. Mind is looking for pleasure. So the mind gets caught and his mind starts enjoying the pleasure that comes with the pleasure that is coming from bringing the mind to the body. being internalized. So therefore, the same thing is used here, that preparedness of the mind is allowing the practitioner to abandon the bliss, and then at the same time abandon the suffering that would have otherwise taken the place of bliss. Why? When this happens, uh, when you don't have somanasa, in other words, rapture, when you don't have the absence of rapture or the suffering from rapture, when you don't have bliss, and when you don't have the absence of bliss, or in other words, physical suffering, then both happiness and unhappiness, physically and mentally, gone. When both these are gone, what you will have is, you will come to the 0 point. If we take it on a graph, on the x-axis you will have physical happiness, on the y-axis you will have mental happiness and unhappiness, and on the minus you will have unhappiness, and on the positive side you will have happiness. So when both in the x and y axes, the happiness fades away, unhappiness fades away, and it comes to the 0 point. And in the 0 point, what you have is the state where there is no happiness, unhappiness. There is a situation where there is no pleasant and painful feeling, which we call adukkama sukham. No suffering, no happiness as well. When that happens, our mind is usually very lazy. We should have something to be happy. So you will feel very lethargic. You will feel nausea. You will feel sleepy. You will feel very miserable. It will be very vomitish feeling. So when that happens, now how are you going to handle? For this situation, the Blessed One says, most of the people, even in the lay life, they hate this situation. So because they hate this situation, what happens is, a lot of industries have developed to get rid of this situation, get rid of this happiness and neither pleasure, no non-pleasure situation. And those are the industries that we call as movie industry, newspaper industry, and TV industry, and then in the present day context, all the social media. They take cover this neither pleasant, no painful feeling situation, and then they sell their products, and they take our time and take our money as well. So therefore, the practitioner also will come to this situation where he is not having either pleasant or unpleasant feeling. When you get there, even the practitioner will start hating it. Practitioner, especially when walking, they will go to have a glass of water, or they will try to go to the toilet, and they will try to do something. That is because he has lost the satisfaction from walking, and he doesn't get anything from walking. So it has come to the situation there is no happiness and unhappiness in walking. So therefore they hate it. So when they hate it, they go and do something else. And it happens in the sitting as well. So while sitting, it will come to a point that you are so agitated and you can't see the breath, you can't see the feelings, there is nothing to see, and there is nothing in the mind as well. So you feel so horrible. And then you open your eyes and see what the time is. Still 50 seconds to go, you just get up and go. And that is the point where you have brought your practice to the climax. So when it comes to the climax, when you feel this miserable and monotonous and then boring state, you should be with it. Instead of replacing that with something else, you most of the time you replace that with something else. You will have to be with it. You will have to accept that miserable state. You will have to accept that boring state. You will have to accept that agitated, nausea smell stage. You will have to accept that lethargy and just sit until the bell goes. And then you are challenging the situation where there is no pleasant feelings, no unpleasant feelings, and what you train there is the improvement of the equanimity that you have gained in the third absorption. You improve the equanimity at a new level. Earlier, you were equanimous when what you had was lost. When the rapture was lost, you were equanimous. Now you are equanimous for not having anything. So it's a gradual improvement from being non-reactional when you lose something and being non-reactional when you don't have anything. When you don't have anything, you will have to look for something or worry about it. So the Buddha says, here, you don't do that. You become more equanimous. When you become more equanimous, there what you do is, for the state of the mind, which is requesting, which is urging, which is pushing you to make a reaction. When you are in that state, the entire body cells, entire particles in the body are pulling you out of the sitting, are urging and forcing you to go and have a glass of water if you are walking. When that is there, you simply become aware of it. By being aware of it, you become mindful for the equanimity. You already have come to the state where there is nothing to enjoy. And that state is creating so much of havoc and so much of hell, and you become aware of it. And therefore, in the fourth absorption, it says, Upekha sati parisuddhing. Upekha sati parisuddhing means you purify the newly born equanimity with mindfulness. Newly born equanimity is continued with awareness. So that is called Upekha Sati Parisuddhi. So that is the state that you will have when you come to the fourth absorption. So in the fourth absorption, people say that you don't have any feelings, you don't have any thoughts, you don't have the body, but still I am aware. And that awareness is the awareness of the equanimity. And to be more specific, in that state, there is a huge urge for you to stop and go and do something. And you accept that as well and simply keep observing. So I'm sure you may have experienced these type of scenarios, although not continuously for hours or so many minutes together, but there may have certain thought moments or few thought moments where you have experienced these things. So this is the pleasant feeling that the Blessed One is talking about. And here what he says is, when this is there, that is the right concentration. This is the right concentration, and that right concentration you simply become aware of. So, hope this has made thrown some light to your practice and helps you to understand what is happening depending on your practice. And may you all be blessed with the blessings of the Triple Gem. Teruvan Saranai.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
All right. So, anything to discuss? Chatu, are you in temple or Sati Grove?
I'm in temple today.
All right. Okay. All right. So, anything to discuss?
Yes,
Yes,
there
Saham,
are
go ahead.
things to discuss, but first I have to mention sometimes during walking meditation, I have to go to toilet and I really need to go.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with laziness or anything.
Yeah. No, what you will have to do is, if this is a habit, you can first go to the toilet and start walking.
Yeah, I know. But some,
Because
it's life. You don't know. It's body and
no. Sometimes
it's
what happens is it is rather than the body, it is the mind. I have experienced this. I have seen when my walking is about 45-50 minutes, I have a huge requirement to go to the toilet. And then after few instances, I started going to the toilet and then start walking. Still the damn thing is happening. Then I decided, no, okay, let it burst off. I'm not going. And then it gradually reduces. So it's more mental. But I'm not
okay.
saying I'm agreeing with you. There will have instances, with whatever we have in our body. If we have taken a lot of liquids, those requirements will be there. But still, there are a lot of mental factors as well.
Right. So about this feeling of it's not easy to put in words, but about this feeling when you feel like there is nothing to do and you have to do something. The words that you were discussing in the last minutes, basically. Like you are sitting alone and nothing, and suddenly your mind, which is always trying to become something or to do something because of the memory, comparison, continuous fears, come to place and act and try to become, and you try to become something, whether distract yourself, whether go out, watch movie, call someone, I don't know, act, to react something.
Yeah.
And when you let it happen and you allow and you see things, then maybe the mind come to the point and says, it's okay, I'm cool, I'm relaxed, it is what it is, and I am comfortable with it. And you see, this is another aspect This is another aspect. Like 1 minute ago, the mind has fear, and a minute later, it says, I'm okay, I'm relaxed. And you see that as well. And you see that as well. So with all I'm saying now, I'm not trying to reach to the conclusion. I just want to share some. And
Yeah.
you see that as well. I'm curious. I'm like, I want to like know. I want to see. Uh, does the brain have the capacity to see itself, to be aware of itself, without me trying to do anything or to imply anything or to how to say it, imply a teaching, imply a method to it, you know, if I do this, that would happen, that will help. Or the brain itself, the brain in it have some capacity to see itself and therefore be free and realize this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's something
That,
I would
that
like
you
to know your like your saying about it.
your thoughts. Right. Why do you bring the brain into this equation?
Uh, because what is happening, it's inside our brain, like thought, memory, things like that,
Yeah.
right?
How do you say that it is? Are you assuming, or let
No,
me
I
put the
mean,
question. Let me put the question
okay.
this way: are you considering mind and the brain the same thing?
No.
Yeah. So if it is no, brain doesn't have any such capacity. Brain is something which is conditioned to do things in a certain manner.
Sorry, so let me put it this way. Uh, does the mind have capacity to be aware of itself?
Exactly. So this is exactly what I wanted to get clarified. Yes, the mind is having that capacity. We had the same question in our discussion yesterday in the retreat that I'm conducting now. Someone asked, we have defilements in the mind, and also we try to be mindful using our mind. So are these two different minds? That is how he put the question. And so you are putting the same question in a different way. So our mind means an energy, and this energy is getting converted into many forces. So when in our existence, in our living, this energy has been converted only into the negative forces. Although it has the capacity and ability to go on to the positive, we haven't used that because of our conditioning, because of our previous conditioning. So therefore, now what the Blessed One does is, he is changing the direction. In order to have, why you have defilements or the negative forces is because you take the mental process away from the physical process. That is how it becomes frictional. You have the chassis in the garage, but the engine is all over the place. Right? So the car doesn't function properly. Car doesn't work properly. But if you put both in the same place and fix properly, it will start working well. So although I'm taking that analogy, for human existence, although our engine is all over the universe, we can work, but in a frictional manner. One part of our mental process is outside, only the physical process is here. So what the Blessed One does is that the mental process, the energy which is away from the physical process, is brought back to the physical process. So when it is brought back to the physical process, that negativity goes off. Why negativity goes off is because it has to be together. And since you are taking away, it creates a lot of pressure, a lot of tension, a lot of friction, a lot of suffering. So when it is brought back, that friction goes away. So to answer your question, that bringing back itself is using the capacity of the mind to understand itself. Right? So then when you continue with the practice, you gradually start understanding how cool it is. So the mind is learning now. So when the mind is learning, and that is how we spoke this absorption, it is the mind that selects the better option. What we simply do is we simply bring the attention inward, change the direction, and then mind is gradually taking on its way. And for that to happen, it happened even before Buddha. But they had a deficient, or rather not a deficient, inefficient technique, inefficient way of doing it. They did not have mindfulness to the full. They had mindfulness, but they did not appreciate it as much it should be appreciated. The Blessed One says, you keep appreciating only mindfulness. You keep appreciating only continuing mindfulness. So he said, keep the mindfulness to the full, not the object. So when you keep the mindfulness to the full, mind will start learning itself regularly. So it will energize itself continuously. And when you keep on energizing in that manner, it will come to the equation E is equal mc squared. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
It's a physics equation. So that practitioner will be able to realize, will be able to understand that everything is energy, and this energy is what we have converted into feelings, converted into perceptions, converted into volitions, converted into form, and things like that. So therefore, mind has the capacity, but very, very, very few human beings are using that capacity to purify the mind. Make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
But just to add something, what you said about the mind has the capacity to continuously learning itself, learning.
Yeah.
It must be different from learning from book or learning from
100%. 100%. Because Buddha has given
told you.
Keep going.
Yes, or someone told you something that you should do, and that is just a memory, and you want to use memory, a past, and apply it to situation that is happening now, and then the conflict rises, and we go back to the game again.
Yeah. The Blessed One says 3 ways of knowledge. One is the listening knowledge, and the other one is intellectualizing, and the other is the first-hand experience, experiential knowledge. So we are talking here about the experiential knowledge.
All right.
Great. Can you give me a second? There is someone that has come. Sorry. Anything else? Sorry. Is anybody else having anything to talk, or are we good to wind up?
I'm good here today. Sorry, Mansa. They're on Sunday.
All right. All right. Are you back in Australia?
Yeah, just got back on Sunday.
Ah, right. Okay.
Got a little bit
Right.
sick, but yeah, should be able to get
Right.
better.
Good. Right. So we will do the chanting then. And who is going to do it?
I can do it.
All right. So do you have the paper or you want it here?
Yeah, it's okay. I got it.
Ah, right. Okay.
May all devas share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all other beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all the beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the dispensation. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the teaching. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect me and others. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Master, O Victor, greatly wise. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Dhamma, to be seen here and now, timeless. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Sangha, practice well the incomparable. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise, up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise, up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise, up to the time I attain Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu. Thank you very much for everyone for joining, and we will meet next Tuesday. When is next Tuesday? That is 4th. I'm very doubtful I will be. Anyway, we will see how it goes. Teruvan Saranai.
There was a
Teruvan Saranai. Teruvan Saranai.